Hello, welcome to Seven Lakes Fishery. I'm Josh, the fisheries assistant down here, and we've made a quick guide for people that have never fished down here before. A lot of you will come to Lake 6 first where the bigger fish are because that's what the demand is for really. So we've made a quick guide for everyone just to make sure you've got the basics before arriving, but always do go onto our website, check through all the rules and make sure you familiarise yourself with these before coming down. Going through what you're going to need to fish on Lake 6, and ideally for all the lakes if you're fishing for carp, but definitely Lake 6, you want a bucket. This one folds down so it's nice and handy, it slides in your bag, but anything that will hold water, so when you've got the fish on the mat you can cover it in a bit of water, keep it out of the water for a few more seconds really, and make sure it doesn't dry out and get sore and sort of abused as such, I guess you could use. Equally, you're probably going to want a sling. This is good, so when you net the fish you can slide it into this, it supports it, keeps it nice and damp again because it will take on the water, good for weighing your fish. And equally, if you catch a nice named fish, sort of one of the larger ones that swim around the lake, you can put it in this, keep it in the margins for a few minutes while you call a bailiff, and then we can tell you whether we want you to keep hold of it for pictures or anything like that really. We do not want any fish slinged that we have no use for, sort of thing. We don't want them sat in the margins in this heat or any time of year really, but especially in the heat we don't want them sat about. Just put them back, let them go. It's where they need to be, sort of thing. It doesn't do them any favours to be sat in the warm water in the margins. And then going on to your mats and your cradles, we recommend high-walled mats and cradles. We do state in the rules that these are required, but if you have a really large unhooking mat that doesn't have walled sides, then it is at the discretion of the bailiffs whether they think it's big enough, because our main concern is the fact that we have uneven ground here, so the fish can quite easily slide off and do itself and damage, and we don't want these fish getting damaged because at the end of the day it ruins the experience for all the anglers. So yeah, we do recommend and we sort of advocate using cradles really, keeps everything off the floor, and yeah, the fish is you're not going to cause any harm to anyone, and equally it's easier to get it up and you're not sort of kneeling down and whatever. It's just much better for the fish. And then moving on to your net, you're going to want a minimum of a 36-inch landing net. Anything smaller than that is just a bit small really for this lake. We want the fish to go in them nice and easily, no damage, no stress, everything to be as smooth as possible for the animal. You're going to want a nice deep net, so when you do hook it, get it in the net, happy days. Just leave it to sit with plenty of slack, just in the margins for a few minutes, let it get sort of rejuvenate itself, get its breath back. And then once you've done that, then you can get the fish out and it will stay in mint condition and we're not going to have any problems with fish health. Right, so when you're coming down here as well, you're going to want to make sure that your net and your mat is dried for a minimum of 24 hours. Ideally this is in the sun to make sure that any sort of parasites or diseases are killed that are on this, as it only travels when the stuff is sort of wet and damp. So we need to make sure they are dry before swapping from each fishery. That just stops the spread of anything. And then going on from that, barbless hooks are mandatory down here. So if you are caught using micro-barbed hooks or barbed hooks, then you will be asked to change those. And if you don't have any that aren't micro-barbed or barbed, then you will be asked to leave, or we do sell them on site. It could give you recommendations on where to buy them, but you will need barbless hooks when fishing here. And then going on from that, a carp care kit is part of the rule book. If you don't have one of these, you will be asked to purchase one from us or a shop nearby, as these are essential, and for most fisheries these days you need to have one of these in your kit for the sake of the fish. Down here is no alcohol, because you shouldn't be drinking when you're handling live animals or equally around water. It is dangerous and it is unfair to be handling animals in the wrong state of mind really. It goes without saying no drugs. Obviously there's a zero tolerance policy for this, and also no barbecues. We've had a few issues where people have not read the rules and they're bringing down barbecues. We allow gas stoves that are off the floor. These are perfectly fine. There's plenty of fishing brands that do these, and they will cook just as much, if not more, than any barbecue. So there is no reason why you should bring a barbecue with you. So we have a zero tolerance policy for that, and you will be asked to leave if you haven't read the rules and you do bring a barbecue along with you. Going from that, the rules are all on the website, so please, before you come, read up on those, familiarise yourself with those rules, and just sort of make sure you're safe and appropriate when fishing. And you can find those rules at sevenlakes.co.uk/rules.